Welcome. We are initiating ourselves to imbibe the values, features, and format of organization of Rigved Samhita. Shakala Rigved Samhita is before us. This scripture is a scripture of 4,32,000 aksharas, structured points, and each point is fulfilled with structures of a transcendental domain. Therefore, we are having 5 space leading to hypercube of 5 as its representative regular body within creator's space, a 4 space. We are having as many as 4,32,000 hypercube 5s. And hypercube of 5 itself has a manifestation within creator's space. Creator's space is presided by Lord Brahma. The idol of Lord Brahma as a 4-head Lord leads to value 4 parallel to 4 dimensions. Each head of Lord is equipped with a pair of eyes. It makes a spatial dimension. Lord Brahma sits on a lotus seat of 8 petals. So it makes a solid boundary of 8 components. And within the cavity of heart of Lord Brahma is the seat of the Transcendental Lord, 5 space. These features of idol of Lord Brahma go parallel to the format of hypercube 4. We have 4 dimensions, and we have 4 heads. We have 2 space in the role of a dimension, and we have a pair of eyes here. We have a solid boundary of 8 components, and we have a lotus seat of 8 petals. Within the cavity of heart is the seat of a transcendental Lord, and here we have origin as a 5 space. As such, we the sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel to the format of Shakala Rigved Samhita, the only Rigved Samhita available with us. Therefore, for it, we have to be parallel to the enlightenment path followed by the Creator himself. Lord Brahma is Creator the Supreme. The idol of Lord Brahma, a 4-head Lord with a pair of eyes in each head, sitting gracefully on the lotus seat of 8 petals and meditating within cavity of his own heart on a transcendental seat of Lord Shiva, leads us to the format features along which we have to chase the organization format of a Shakala Rigved Samhita. This format of hypercube 4 with a solid boundary of 8 components and a spatial order 4 space with 5 space playing the role of the origin becomes a format, and this is the format of Shivalya. When we go to the temple of Lord Shiva, we see the foundation upon which the lingam, the 5 space as an origin, is installed, is along a format of polygon of 8 sides. These 8 sides of the polygon as such are representing the 8 components of the solid boundary. 8 is seat of lotus of 8 petals. In it we see that we have 4 idols of 4 lords, and these 4 idols normally are of the goddess, the Tattriya, Lord Ganesha and Nandi. So within this seat of the format of P8, we have the 4 idols in it, and at the center is the lingam. Therefore, the first thing which we have to bear in mind is that when we are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel to the format of Shakala, Rigved, Samhita, then we shall take that we are entering a Shivalya. This format of a Shakala, Rigved, Samhita is of the foundation of a Shivalya. The foundation of Shivalya is the foundation of the format features of idols of Lord Brahma, Creator, the Supreme. Therefore, essentially it is taking us to the format of hypercube of 4, and of it as well we are reaching at its origin. Therefore, let us make a specific note that when we are anxious to be parallel to the organization format features of Shakala, Rigved, Samhita, then we shall put to ourselves that in fact we are going to be face to face with the organization format features of a Shivalya. It is the installation of Shivlingam, 5 spaces and origin within hypercube of 4. Therefore, this reach as such is a reach from Brahma to Shiva. This reach is from Lord Brahma, Creator, the Supreme, to Transcendental Lord Shiva. This reach is a reach from the presiding deity of 4 space to the presiding deity of a 5 space. The presiding deity of 4 space meditates within cavity of one's own heart and gets entitled for the transcendental grace, and it is with the transcendental grace that Lord Brahma multiplies as 10 Brahmas, and as such there happens to be a transition and transformation from hypercube of 4 to hypercube of 5, as hypercube 5 is enveloped within a creative boundary of 10 components. These 10 components, a raised to power 5 is to 10, b raised to power 4. So we had to start with a raised to power 4 is to 8, b raised to power 3, and we are reaching at a raised to power 5 is to 10, b raised to power 4. Let us have a pause here and take note that the Shakala, Rigved, Samhita is organized as 10 mandals, and simultaneously it is organized as 8 ashtaks. We can start with the idol format features of Lord Brahma as hypercube of 4, as 4 space enveloped within a solid boundary of 8 components. These 8 components together synthesize a solid boundary of a creator's space. And we know that a cube, a 3 space body, splits into 8 octants within 4 space. So it is a split of a cube as 8 subcubes. This reach for 1 as a cube to 8 as subcubes means 8 cubes is going to be the reach. And we know that 1 is equal to 1 raised to power 3 while 8 is equal to 2 raised to power 3. Therefore, the organization format features as 8 astecs on the face of it are bringing us to a situation where the transition and transformation for value 1 goes as 8. So, in fact, we are in a sequence of values 1 raised to power 3, 2 raised to power 3 and so on, and the pair of values are being simultaneously taken as a step. Further, we know that cube is the representative regular body of a 3 space, and we know that 3 space is playing the role of dimension of a 5 space. Let us have a pause. When we start with 8 astecs organization of a Shakala Rigved Samhita, then we are starting with hypercube of 4 as 4 space domain enveloped within a solid boundary of 8 components. And this setup as it is that the cube is splitting into 8 subcubes. And further we know that 3 space is playing the role of a dimension of a 5 space. Therefore, when we say that we are beginning with 8 astecs organization, then essentially we are taking that we are starting with a 3 space in the role of a dimension. That means we are in fact starting with the idol of transcendental Lord, a 5 space Lord. So hypercube of 5, which is having a 5 space as a dimension and a 3 space in the role of a dimension, and the creative boundary is going to be of 10 components, and within the heart of the transcendental Lord is a seat of a self-referral Lord, that is 6 space. Therefore, here when we will be beginning with the transcendental Lord, then in fact we will be beginning along the format of 3, 4, 5 and 6 as a 4-fold manifestation layer of hypercube of 5 within 4 space. Now this means 3 space is playing the role of a dimension. We know that 3 space is having hypercube 3 as its representative regular body. Further, we know that cube splits into 8 octants. Therefore, when we start with 3 space in the role of a dimension, then essentially we say that the foundation of hypercube of 4 is having a base of hypercube 3. So when we are taking cube hypercube 3, a 3 space representative body as the base for the foundation, taking 3 space as a base, then we will be reaching at a 8 astecs organization. However, when we will start with 4, means as a boundary, means as a creative boundary of a 10 components. So When we are having a enveloping frame, a creative boundary of 10 components, then we know that we will be beginning with the organization of Rigved Samhita as 10 mandals. One can have a pause here. One shall sit comfortably and permit the transcending mind to be parallel to a twofold way, twofold path for approaching the organization format of Shakala Rigved Samhita. This two-way path, this twofold process of the organization of Rigved Samhita is essentially there because of fourth space, the creator space is as a spatial order. As we know that hypercube of 4 is a fourfold manifestation layer, which would mean that here 2 space is playing the role of a dimension. It is this 2 space as a role which is responsible for a twofold approach for the organization of Shakala Rigved Samhita. Shakala is the name which on the face of it is taking us to the first letter Sha, which is of TC value 2. Further, the second letter is elongated A, which also is of a value 2. Ahead we are having a Ka, a first consonant, which as a Brahma takes us to value 4, and as such it is of a spatial order. So this organization is the organization with letter Ka together with the letter A takes us to value 2, and same also takes us to value 5, as 2 space is having as many as 5 versions. There are 5 geometries of the 2 space, there are 5 versions of the hypercube 2, and step ahead the letter law is having value 5, and the letter 1 this becomes 6, and we know Ka Brahma 2 law, it is Alya, it is Lay, it is dissolution, it is a merger. Like that, the formulation Shakala as such is also leading us to a twofold processing path of the organization of the Shakala Rigved Samhita. Therefore, the sadhaka's fulfilled intensity efforts to be parallel with the twofold processing path of this organization format of Shakala Rigved Samhita shall proceed and approach to this Samhita, beginning with Transcendental Lord, with the feature that each head of the Transcendental Lord is having triple eyes. Therefore, this way one can begin by approaching the organization as of a solid dimensional order. Means 3 space in the role of dimension is to be the initiation point. The second path is to proceed with the organization format of a Transcendental Lord. Though the Transcendental Lord here is having a seat within the cavity of the heart of the Creator. Therefore, the 3 space here will play the role only at the origin, and simultaneously we know at the boundary it will split into 8 octants. As such, we can proceed to have an insight and enlightenment about the organization format of Shakala Rigved Samhita by approaching this organization format as of a solid order, 3 space in the role of a dimension. The second way is to approach it along the format of a creator's space, which would mean that here we can also start as 8 Astaks organization, 10 Mandals organization and 10 Astaks organization are the pair of processing paths. So from the Transcendental Lord Shiva, we have to reach the Creator, the Supreme, and from the Creator, the Supreme, we have to reach at the Transcendental domain. It is this twofold process which will help us appreciate that when we are having a 2 space in the role of dimension and 3 space also in the role of a dimension, then this pair of values on the one hand will lead us to value 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, and the other hand 2 into 3 will lead us to value 6, and therefore essentially when we will be having a simultaneous chase by the solid order as well as the spatial order, then in fact our reach is going to be from the transcendental domain, that means from the domain of a Lord Shiva to a self-referral domain, that is to the domain of Lord Vishnu. This brings us face to face with the sequential organization unfolding process inherently embedded in this organization format of a Shakala Rigved Samhita. Therefore, while on the one hand we will be having a coordination of the features of the transcendental domain with the Creator's domain, and on the other hand this coordination will lead to an arrangement and organization of coordination of the features of a self-referral domain with the self-referral domain with the transcendental domain. So it is this Trimurti, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. This Trimurti as it is ultimately going to take us to a Triloki. So we have to have a reach for Triloki, the existence phenomenon on the earth within our solar universe. So Triloki and Trimurti ultimately become the pair of reach points of the organization format of Shakala Rigved Samhita. Here Triloki would essentially mean a triple spaces of a linear order, spatial order and a solid order. And the Trimurti will take us to the creative order, the transcendental order and the self-referral order. This would mean that we have to proceed with the triple values 1, 2, 3 and have to reach at values 4, 5 and 6. It is this reach which would mean we have to reach from 1 to value 4, 2 to value 5, 3 to value 6. And we know this 1 to 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 is essentially a fourfold manifestation layer of hypercube 3. And 2, 3, 4 and 5 takes us to a hypercube 4. A step ahead, the 3, 4, 5 and 6 will lead us to hypercube of 5. It is this reach, this triple reach, which would mean that when we are on a surface in a spatial order, we will be having a pair of centers organization like of ellipse. But when we are in a space, then we will be having, instead of a pair of centers, there will be a triple centers. It is like ellipsoid. So this reach in terms of the triple centers in fact is going to take us only to one of the hemispheres. Therefore, instead of reaching at the complete sphere, essentially we will be having an approach for a universe as a pair of hemispheres, and both hemispheres, this pair of hemispheres, with each hemisphere becoming a complete domain in itself, and the synthesis of the pair of hemispheres as a sphere as well is making a complete domain. Therefore, the whole and the part will be taking us to a complete domain's structural setups. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well. For it, then, we have to go to the first Devata, the first domain being taken up by the Shakala Rigved Samhita as a Devata of the first Richa itself. And if we have a close look at this depiction of the fire god, then it is a god of a pair of heads. And then each head is having a pair of horns. And then the first part is having 3 arms, while the second part is having 4 arms. It is here where we will see that this organization format of the Shakala Rigved Samhita essentially is a chase of the existence phenomenon of our solar universe, wherein not only the domains split, but also the dimensional frames as well split. So it is this split of the dimensional frames, and parallel to it there being a split of the domains, which is the mathematics, which is the science, which is the technology. And it is this format of parallel split of the domains as well as of the dimensional frames. Therefore, the sadhakas fulfilled with intensity urge to be parallel with the organization format of Shakala Rigved Samhita have to start with the creators of space as a spatial order space, and from here one is to reach at the Shivalya, a transcendental domain, hypercube of 5 within 4 space, enveloped within a creative boundary of 10 components. It is here we see that when plane is going to be a dimensional order, that means in each corner points we are having a 2-dimensional frame but of half dimensions. It is this feature of the split of a 2-dimensional frame into a pair of 2-dimensional frames of half dimensions which deserves to be comprehended well. Likewise, the cube as a representative body of a 3 space, and 3 space in the role of a dimension will help us visualize, comprehend, imbibe, and to be parallel to with it, that here in each corner point there is embedded a 3-dimensional frame but of half dimensions. It is this split of a 3-dimensional frame and it is this split of a 2-dimensional frame which is a feature, is a value, is the format, is the processing potentiality of the organization format of a Shakala Rigved Samhita. Therefore, the sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge have to approach Shakala Rigved Samhita as a Shivalya. The second way, second path, second format, second visualization, second comprehension is to be as a Yagya Vedi. It is a Vedi where the yajna is performed. The third is a creator's space. And then we know that this is to be chased in the cavity of a heart. So fourth is the format of a heart as the 4th chakra, and a step ahead is a creator's space at core of the earth. Then we will reach at core of the sun. So core of the sun, the core of the earth, the creator's space, the seat within cavity of a heart, All the features which are simultaneously available, which are simultaneously being changed, which are simultaneously unfolding in the organization format of a Shakala, Rigved, Samhita. It is with this background, it is with this comprehension, it is with this insight that we have to reach at the situation where the three space as such is of a 7 geometries range. Now this 7 geometries range would have a split for 3 negative and 3 positive geometries, and one would be of a euro signature. Then step ahead, a 4 space will leading to 4 negative geometries, 4 positive geometries, and one would be of a euro signature. The 5th space as well will be leading us to 11 geometries, of which would be 5 would be positive, negative, 5 would be positive, and 1 would be of a euro signature. Step ahead, we will be having 13 geometries range, of which 6 would be positive, 6 would be negative, and 1 would be of a euro signature. It is this feature which will take us to transcendence of a origin and split of a domain as a pair of domains. So 4 space is splitting into a pair of 4 space domains, 5 space as a pair of 5 space domains, 6 space as a pair of 6 space domains, and 3 space as a pair of 3 space domains. Then this origin, we know that the middle point of an interval with its approach from both ends as such leads us to a structure of a 2 space at the center, as 2 space is playing the role of an origin of a 1 space. We know -1, 0, 1 and 2 is a 4-fold manifestation layer of hypercube 1, as 2 space plays the role of a dimension, role of an origin of 1 space. And likewise the 3 space is playing the role of an origin of a 2 space, and we know that 4 space is playing the role of an origin of a 3 space. It is this feature that 4 space is playing the role of an origin of a 3 space, and 4 space is the creator's space. It is this concept of transcendence of an origin, split of a domain, and compactified origins. So it is this compactified origins concept and simultaneously split of a sphere as a pair of hemispheres. And then we know that when we are having, say, 3, 4, 5 and 6, or we are having 4, 5, 6 and 7, what it takes us to, that there is going to be a simultaneous inward and outward expansion. Taking it a cube, we know here we are having surface in the role of a boundary. Now if this plate is stripped off, it would be dimensionalizing the out space as a 4 space, because 2 space as dimensional take to 4 space, and at the center we know is a 4 space. Therefore there is going to be simultaneous outward expansion as well as the inward expansion. Therefore if we are at a 3 space, then its outer expansion is to be 4 space, its inner expansion as well as 4 space. It is this feature of parallel inward and outward expansion. And then we know Shivalya is at the core of the earth. As such, the sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel to the organization format of Shakala Rigved Samhita shall initiate oneself with the format of a hypercube 4 as the initiation point, as the starting point. So it is this initiation point of the format of hypercube 4 parallel to the format of the idol of Lord Brahma is to be imbibed. One shall sit comfortably, permit the transcending mind to be parallel to the formate features of the idol of Lord Brahma, parallel to hypercube 4, and this as a starting point will take us parallel to the unfolding of the organization format of the Shakala, Rigved, Samhita. Therefore, we have to take up each richa to be of values, features, format, and is to be of the mathematics, sciences, technologies of the format of hypercube of 4. It is creators of space and it is a foundation of a Shivalya. It is on this foundation of a Shivalya we have to be parallel to the transcendental domain, the range of the values of the transcendental domain fulfilling our solar universe. So our solar universe is of the potentialities of the order of the transcendental domain itself. And 5 space in the role of a dimension will take us to 7 space, that is to a pole star, which is to play the role of an origin of a 6 space. Therefore, sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel to the Vedic systems shall initiate themselves to be parallel to the unfolding process of the organization format of Shakala, Rigved, Samhita along the foundation of a creator's space as a foundation of a Shivalya. Thank you very much.